Hello, welcome to our webinar, Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body. I'm Mike Bias with the Alzheimer's Association, and today we're going to separate some of the fact from fiction about brain health and what you can do to lower your risk for Alzheimer's and other dementias. Before I introduce our guest today, I'd like to point out a few things on your screen so that you can fully appreciate our webinar today. First of all, below the webcam down here is something called the Program Notes Pod, where, if you're joining us live, you can click to download the workbook that will help you get the most out of this healthy living program. If you're viewing this as a recording, you can download the workbook at alzwebinars.org. Now, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A pod, and that's where you can type in any questions that you may have for our speaker today. This is confidential. Nobody else will be able to see your name. Now, just to practice using that Q&A pod, could you go ahead and type in your zip code? We've got people registered from all over the United States, and we like to see where people are logging in live from. So in the Q&A pod, just type in your zip code. All right. Speaking of our speaker that we're going to ask questions of, we're pleased to have with us today Yolanda Simon, who's a retired educator and a mother and a grandmother from Southern Illinois. She was a caregiver for her mother who had Alzheimer's. Additionally, Yolanda's uncle died with Alzheimer's, and her oldest sister is currently living with Alzheimer's disease as well. She describes the book The 36-Hour Day as her saving grace, and she now spends time educating others about this disease to help as many people as possible improve the quality of their lives. Welcome, Yolanda.
Thank you, Mike. To everyone, we're so glad to have you here. By the end of this program, we're hoping to identify the reasons for taking care of yourself as you age. We will list strategies to help you age well in the following areas: cognitive activity, physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, and social engagement. We encourage you to make your own plan for healthy aging using the Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body tips from the latest research workbook. Throughout the course of the program, you will be able to view short videos of the experts in the field of aging and people who are finding ways to make small changes that add up and help them to age well. Let's begin by talking about the factors that contribute to how human beings age. There are some ways in which we age that we all have in common, and many of these are out of our control. As older adults, for example, our hair typically turns gray. Our skin wrinkles and our eyes tend to focus less effectively while reading. As individuals, though, we each age somewhat differently, and how this takes place depends in part on our genes. We're each genetically predisposed to age in a certain way. For example, some families tend to live a long time, aging well into their 90s or even longer. Other families, however, tend to develop diseases that may limit the lifespan. These things are all beyond our control. However, there are many aspects of aging over which we do have some degree of control. These aspects of aging include the lifestyle or environmental factors associated with how we age. Even in families with genetic predispositions toward particular conditions, there are lifestyle and environmental interventions that may alter the course of those conditions significantly. We're going to start by adopting habits to potentially improve overall health. These habits may help to keep our bodies and our brains healthy as we age. Now, let's begin by talking about the brain and how it works. Of course, we know the brain controls all of our bodily functions, including thought and movement. It is the control center for the entire body. There are approximately 100 billion cells called neurons in the brain. They're structured like branches of a tree, creating a network of pathways through which electrochemical signals are sent to form thoughts, feelings, and even memories. Alzheimer's disease progressively destroys brain cells as it moves throughout the brain, affecting more functions as it progresses. We've known for years that the body and the brain are connected. and that what is good for the body may also be good for the brain. Now, science is able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize health. Much of the body brain connection is due to the fact that the brain is nourished by the body's network of blood vessels. The oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain through the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. Every time your heart beats, 25% of the blood being moved goes to the brain. That's why keeping the body in good working order helps keep the brain fueled to do its work. There's still many benefits to aging. If you ask someone you know who is over the age of 50 or 60, that person is likely to be very comfortable with the person that he or she is, less concerned about opinions or criticisms of others. Then, as they move to their 70s and 80s, they may talk about the wisdom that comes with life experiences and their appreciation of this perspective. Still, when we age, there are changes that take place in our bodies and our brains. Many of these are to be expected as typical age-related changes, such as some decline in the ways our brains process information. Also, there are some diseases that are more common as we age, and some of these impact our brain function. Alzheimer's disease and other dementias result when the brain is compromised in some specific ways. Currently, there are no proven methods to prevent, cure, or even slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease. There are habits, though, they maintain or potentially improve overall health as we age. These habits may also keep your brain healthy as you age. Although this program isn't specifically about issues related to Alzheimer's disease or dementia, it's helpful to know some basic information about these conditions to understand how they relate to healthy aging and what we can do to help our brains and our bodies age as well as possible. Dementia is a general term. When we think about what is dementia, it's caused by many different diseases, each with different symptoms. The symptoms of all these diseases have one thing in common. They compromise the way the brain works and cause a decline in memory or other brain functions that are noticeable enough to affect everyday life. Although dementia and the diseases under this umbrella term are associated with aging, they are not a normal part of aging. If they were, everyone would develop them as they age, and we know that isn't the case. Alzheimer's disease is, however, the most common form of dementia, accounting for 60 to 80% of all the cases. Some of the risks for Alzheimer's include age, genetics, head injury, cardiovascular factors, and fewer years of formal education. We will discuss some of these risks in more detail later in the program. But there are also some therapies that have been developed to help treat symptoms of the disease, and these are effective in some people for a limited period of time. However, they do not slow the progression of the disease. The Alzheimer's Association offers many programs and resources, both in person and online, where you can get additional information about Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, and we will share some of those with you at the end of the program. Today, we will explore 4 aspects of healthy aging. These areas are physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, cognitive activity, and social engagement. We'll look at what the most current research tells us about changes we can make in each of these areas that can help our bodies and our brains age as well as possible. As we touch on each area, think about how you can apply this research to your own life. Consider, how can you do what you enjoy? How can you make gradual changes? And why not start now, regardless of your age? As that sneaker commercial says, just do it. Begin to think about how you can make changes that affect more than one area at once to maximize the maximum health benefits of your habits. There's quite a bit of research in the area of how physical activity affects brain health. Many studies indicate that engaging in physical activity is associated with lower risk of cognitive decline. So many researchers say that if people had to choose one thing to do to improve the brain functioning, it should be exercise. Some evidence suggests that exercise may directly benefit brain cells by increasing blood and oxygen flow and by reducing other dementia risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. However, there is no single recipe for what may work best. Most researchers believe exercise should be regular and on the more vigorous side, but other studies have shown benefits from mild activity such as walking. So just get moving. We're going to meet Woodley, and he's going to discuss some exercise habits.
It's surprising how you can easily build up habits of just taking 15 to 20 minutes out of your day to go down, hit the treadmill, and just do it. Just do it. Just get on it, put my headphones on, and just walk at a nice brisk pace for myself, build up a quick heartbeat, quick sweat, and it's amazing how quickly I can go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then over time, 30 minutes, and over time, 40 minutes. Before you know it, you're up to 45 minutes of walking, and even at a higher incline and also at a higher pace. And again, it's all about incorporating habits in the choices that we make.
So as you see, developing a new habit can happen surprisingly quickly. Progress comes with choosing to stick with the new behavior. Creating an exercise habit can begin with just 10 to 15 minutes a day of activity. Now, what can we do? The most important recommendation is to be active as you can and to incorporate activity that you enjoy so you will continue to engage in it. If this is new to you and you've maybe never exercised before, start out small. Walk around your neighborhood for a few times a week. Walk to your mailbox. Walk around your house or apartment. Take the stairs more often or park your car farther away from the destination than usual. The little changes add up, and the research shows that even 20 to 30 minutes of walking a few times a week can have big health benefits. Participate in cardiovascular activity regularly. This will increase the blood flow to your brain and your body, providing additional nourishment. Research has also shown that for most people, any additional movement is a positive change that can have an impact on overall health. Move safely to prevent injury. If you're biking, wear a helmet to protect against head injury and wear other protective gear when needed for other activities. Ask a friend to join you. This way you can make it social, which is a benefit for your brain and body as well, and get support for continuing with your routine. Consider physical activities that may also be mentally or socially engaging, such as taking a dance class, joining an exercise group, or engaging in a challenging sport such as golfing or perhaps playing tennis. However, always check with your doctor before beginning any new exercise program. And finally, remember that it's never, ever too late or too early to start. No matter when you start, your body and your brain can still reap benefits. Studies have found that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and may increase the risk of dementia. So stop smoking. Additional benefits of stopping smoking include a lower risk of heart attacks, stroke, and lung disease, better blood circulation, and avoiding exposing others to secondhand smoke. Avoid excess alcohol. Alcohol has many effects. Although a glass or two of red wine is commonly thought to have health benefits, you should not start drinking if you don't already do so. Also, excessive drinking of alcohol has some serious negative consequences, including slow or impaired communication among your brain cells, fuzzy memory and drowsiness, long-term changes in balance, memory, emotions, coordination, and body temperature, can be a big contributor to falls and fall-related injuries in other adults, and it can react negatively with many medications, leading to potentially dangerous or even life-threatening consequences. Get enough sleep. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and thinking. Try to avoid any injury to your head. Head injuries and falls can contribute to physical and cognitive difficulties. Be sure to wear a helmet, as I said, when riding a bicycle or playing sports that could involve head injury. Studies have also found that regular physical activity decreases stress, increases your ability to manage stress, and leads to a better overall mood. Monitor your level of stress. Take action to minimize it and seek professional assistance to address anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. Be sure you've informed all of your doctors about all of your medications that you take and have them reviewed by your primary doctor once a week. And lastly, find a physician you trust. You need him or her on a regular basis. Follow up on all recommendations. This is one of the best things you can do to maximize your health as you age. With those things, growing evidence suggests that many factors that increase the risk of heart disease and strokes may also increase the risk of dementia. These include high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and possibly high cholesterol. Although there is good research being done in these areas, more is needed. But this is what we know. Research has shown an increase in the risk of cognitive decline and dementia among individuals with diabetes. Although diabetes has not been shown to cause Alzheimer's disease, there is a relationship between those who have diabetes and those who get dementia. Studies have also found that midlife obesity may be associated with an increased risk of dementia. Research done on treatments to reduce midlife hypertension suggests that they may also reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Studies have shown mixed results for the relationship between high cholesterol levels and dementia. We do know, however, that a good cholesterol level is good for the heart, and what's good for the heart may also be good for the brain. The best way to combat these health concerns is to get your cardiovascular factors mentioned earlier tested regularly and work with your doctor to understand what the results mean for your overall health. Be aware of changes from previous levels to help determine whether changes are needed to help you stay healthy. African Americans, Latinos, and other ethnic groups that tend to have higher rates of high blood pressure, diabetes, and cardiovascular problems need to work closely with doctors to stay on top of any medical concerns. The next area that we will explore is diet and nutrition. Again, we know that a healthy fueling of the body benefits brain functioning, but there are many differing opinions about what is the best way to eat to maximize health. Research in the area of the relationship between diet and cognitive functioning is somewhat limited, but it does point to the benefits of two diets in particular: the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, and the Mediterranean diet. The Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, which is DASH, is a flexible and balanced eating plan. Studies show that the DASH diet lowers blood pressure and it improves levels of blood lipids, which are fats in the bloodstream, and that may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because the DASH diet is a healthy way of eating, it offers potential health benefits beyond simply lowering blood pressure, including reducing the risk of osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The Mediterranean diet incorporates the basics of healthy eating along with other components characterizing the traditional cooking style of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. A research analysis of the more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could reduce the risk of death from heart disease and cancer, and may also reduce the incidence of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Please know that it's never too late to adopt a heart-healthy diet. Studies show that making these changes, even in later life, may have benefits for your brain health. Now we will hear from Dr. Martha Morris, who will tell us about diet and people aging in a healthy way.
Foods that have been shown to lead to healthy aging would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meats, and also healthy vegetable oils. So this would be olive oil would be a good example, have been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease as well as dementia.
So you see, science has shown that there are foods that can help you age well. Those diets can help you reduce your risk of heart disease and be able to reduce your risk of dementia. We're going to show some things that we can eat or what we should eat and those things that we should avoid. So on this slide, you can see suggestions that incorporate principles from both the DASH and the Mediterranean diet, and they include vegetables. Eating green leafy vegetables has been shown to have health benefits. Eating a diet that's rich in fruits. Studies have indicated that certain fruits, such as berries in particular, are quite helpful. Eat nuts, beans, and whole grains. Eat lots of lean meat, fish, and poultry, and choose foods containing polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, which are found in nuts, vegetable oils, and fish. Aim for a diet that is low in saturated and trans fats. Stay away from processed foods, deep fried foods, excess sugar, and salt. A healthy diet will help increase your intake of important vitamins. Some research has shown that vitamins such as vitamin E or vitamins E and C together, vitamin B12 and folate may lower your risk of cognitive decline and possibly Alzheimer's. This research has resulted in some suggestions that taking dietary supplements will lower your risk. Dietary supplements and nutraceuticals or medical foods are made for those with nutritional deficiencies and are to be used only under the supervision of a physician. Labels for medical foods or supplements cannot make drug claims or state that they alleviate symptoms of diseases because they are not drugs as defined by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Many are created with little or no regulation and may be potentially dangerous, so beware of those false claims. With all types of supplements, it's important to keep in mind that they are not without risk. They are made of chemicals that may interact with other medications in negative ways or may upset the way that your body works naturally. Although they often cite research to back up their beneficial claims, the research has not been held to the rigorous standards required for medications by the FDA. So even with emerging research to back up the claims, it can be difficult to understand what the research means for you. When getting information about a supplement or vitamin, check with the reputable source of information about what research has been done. But the best way to understand and address how to care for yourself is to discuss this with your physician. Work with a trusted doctor who understands your physical issues well. He or she can provide the best advice about how your medications, vitamins, and dietary supplements may interact in your body. It is important to discuss any changes in medications with your doctor. Now, let's take a look at research in the area of cognitive activity. Cognitive activity is the term used for keeping our minds active. Anything that uses your mind in challenging ways is a cognitive activity and can possibly have short and long-term benefits for your brain. As you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain actually begins to form and nourish new pathways for connections among brain cells. The more pathways you have, the more nimble your brain is, and the better able you are to guard against the effects of injuries or diseases that may compromise brain functioning. Studies have been done in which some people engaged in cognitive activity by playing games or reading materials that was challenging for them. Those who kept their brains active in those ways could recall information that was recently learned and remember it later to a much greater degree than those who did not keep their minds stimulated through mental activity. However, we do not know all the reasons why staying cognitively engaged may be beneficial. More research is taking place every day to further explore those questions. Research has also shown that engaging in formal education, classroom-based learning administered by professionally trained teachers in any stage of life will help keep your brain healthy and can protect your brain from developing dementia. Some researchers believe that this may be due to education created in a more robust network of communication pathways between neurons in the brain. Others believe that the difference has more to do with education levels being related to socioeconomic factors, which are correlated with risk for disease in general and access to medical care. We'll now hear from Dr. Bennett from the Alzheimer's Center in Chicago.
One of the most interesting factors is cognitive stimulating activities, which basically for us just means mental processing of information. It can be from a book, it can be from the radio, it can be a magazine, it can be from a lecture, it can actually be from watching TV. All of these things require processing information. And the old adage of, use it or lose it is actually something that turns out, at least from the observational data, to look like it's true. So numerous studies now have shown that being more engaged in cognitively stimulating activities is actually good for maintaining cognition. And it's true in late life, and it's true in early life. And so what we recommend is that you start early, and if you're already late, start now.
So what is cognitive stimulation? It's defined as the mental processing of information. Cognitive stimulation has a positive effect on maintaining cognitive abilities throughout our lifetimes. And it's important to incorporate cognitive stimulation into your life regardless of your age. So what can we do? How can we keep our minds active and exercise our brains? Here are some ideas on this slide. You can read books and articles that challenge and inspire you. Participate in hobbies. Try building a piece of furniture. Try a new cooking technique or create something artistic. Read books and articles that really challenge you and inspire you. Focus on topics of interest that provide you with new learning or add to what you already know. Complete puzzles and play games that are challenging for you. This goes beyond jigsaw or crossword puzzles that you find fairly easy to do. Here, we're talking about solving a problem that has you stumped, or figuring out ways to approach a familiar task in a more effective way. It requires that you think steps ahead and make plans for adapting to change or changes that an opponent may make in a game like chess or bridge. Learn new skills or hobbies. Learn something new that interests you and that you find enjoyable. You may want to learn to play a new instrument or take up a new hobby like watercolor painting or playing chess. Engage in ongoing learning. Seek new opportunities for formal education. This could involve taking a class at a local college or community center that teaches about a new topic, skill, or hobby. Also, encourage and help your children and grandchildren to get as much formal education as possible. Why not join a club focused on a common interest? And this is of double benefit because you will keep your mind active while engaging in social interaction. While brain training activities such as computer games that aim to improve memory and attention span are an exciting area of research, none of these activities are proven buffers against Alzheimer's disease. Be cautious of commercially marketed brain games with big claims and promises. One of the best ways to stretch your mind and help your brain be as resilient as possible is to consistently engage in activities that involve learning new things or solving problems. Be sure to choose activities that you enjoy to increase the likelihood that you will continue to engage in them over time. Social engagement is our next one. The final area that we'll take a look at is social engagement, or we call it interacting with others in a social setting. There is the least amount of research in this area. Still, there is some research that indicates that connecting with others socially may benefit brain health, and may actually delay the onset of dementia. Those who are engaged with other people also tend to have reduced rates of mortality and disability. Researchers aren't sure why, or if social networks may help keep the brain resilient against Alzheimer's disease. Some scientists say that the traits that enable people to build and maintain friendships act as a buffer against cognitive impairment. Regardless of the lesson or the reason, we know people don't do well in isolation. When people are feeling good about their social networks, they tend to make healthier choices in other areas of their lives. There are a variety of ways to connect with others and reap the physical benefits of social interaction. As always, pursue the activities that are meaningful to you. These will provide the greatest connection with those around you and will keep you engaged. Sometimes you can engage in an activity that combines areas of healthy aging, such as when you take a walk with a friend or volunteer to tutor young adults in your community. Find a purpose in your life, an activity or connection that gives your life a sense of meaning. Staying socially active may be important in maintaining your overall health. You can engage with others without any financial cost. When you can, choose social activities that have a cognitive and physical component as well, so you can enhance the benefits you get from your activities. Some suggestions for social interaction include getting together with family and friends on a regular basis, meeting new people and forming new friendships, being active in your community, volunteering at your local library or community center, or even your local school districts, taking classes, joining a walking club or a book group. Now, let's pull all four of these pieces together. Each of the four components we explored has potential benefits for physical and cognitive health. Recent research, however, suggests that combining activities in all four areas may have the greatest benefit in maintaining or improving brain health. Let's hear now from Dr. Bill Thies, who's going to speak to us about.
At the Alzheimer's Association International Conference, there was a study reported of the results of a large clinical trial that was done in the Scandinavian countries. And in this trial, they took half the people in the trial and they adjusted their exercise level, their diet, their social engagement, and their mental stimulation. They developed programs for each one of those variables, changed all of those for the people that were in the test group, and the control group just lived as they had been. There is a tremendous benefit to doing studies where we make changes and observe after the fact. That's a much stronger study than just observing people and trying to make judgments after life has changed for them. to my mind, one of the things that this has done is it's changed the force of recommendation that we might make around the benefit of these interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's disease or for brain health. And the fact is that I think it's moved it from possibly exercise, diet adjustments, social engagement, mental stimulation are useful, to probably. And that's a big change and makes it easier for people to make those kinds of adjustments for the benefit of their future health.
So Dr. Thies, who is a senior scientist in residence in the Medical and Scientific Relations Department of the Alzheimer's Association, talks about a recent study in Scandinavia that tells us that when we exercise, diet, have social engagement, and mental stimulation levels being increased to a prescribed level, fewer participants experience cognitive decline. Scientists are now moving towards saying that these interventions may make a difference. With more evidence emerging, they're able to say that they probably do, which is a major shift in the messaging that reflects research. So, we're going to put all of these things together by taking a holistic approach to wellness as we age. Consider your health across many components, including the physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, emotional, and vocational areas of your life. You can make simple changes that will have a cumulative effect, helping you to live as well as possible. When do you start? Today. It's never too late or too early to start living in a more healthy way. Start small and build on it. Pick one area to start with and expand from there. Take your changes step by step. Do what you enjoy, and then you will stick with it. The more you enjoy the activity you've chosen, the more likely it is that you will follow up on your plan. Do something that you can manage in the time you have available now. Choose an activity you can stick with over time. And then make healthy choices. Even as you exercise, eat a nutritious diet and reduce stress as much as possible. Then make a plan. Use your workbook to document your plan. Keep track of your progress as well as obstacles that may hold you back, and then find ways to overcome them. Reward yourself for small changes and overall progress. Get support from others. Let other people know about the changes you're making. Engage in activities that have a social component. Celebrate the victories together. And lastly, have fun. Be your own CEO, the Chief Enjoyment Officer. Be sure that the activities you choose are enjoyable and reward yourself for your successes. Be a savvy consumer. Aging can present health-related challenges that can take an emotional, financial, and physical toll. You can find many products on the market with medical or health-related claims that may be backed up by inaccurate or misleading research. These products and services may be expensive or even time-consuming and can arouse false hope in users. Some may actually be dangerous to your health. Don't let your desire to find a cure or a quick solution to these challenges override your good judgment. These claims should be backed up by solid research. Research conducted with a large number of people, research that has been replicated, and research that has been published in a peer-reviewed journal. Before trying anything new, consult with professionals who know your situation or who are reliable sources of information. Your personal physician is the best one to talk with about what your needs are and whether a product will be helpful or harmful to you. Local pharmacists are also great resources for information about drug and over-the-counter supplement interactions. The Alzheimer's Association website at alz.org can also be helpful. The site offers up-to-date information on research. And with that, Mike will now come back to share some of those resources with you.
Thank you, Yolanda. Yes, before we take any questions, probably the biggest resource is our 24/7 nationwide helpline. That's 800-272-3900. Regardless of where you are in the country, you can call 24 hours, 7 days a week, and trained specialists are there to answer your questions. You can also log on at alz.org if you like to let your fingers do the walking with the keyboard. Well, what are you going to find there? Well, first of all, support groups, which is probably the most important thing for people who are dealing with Alzheimer's or another dementia. It's really brutal being a caregiver, and the support groups in your area are a tremendous source of support emotionally and help with respect to practical advice about what you can do to increase the quality of life for yourself and your loved one with dementia. In addition to support groups, there are education programs where educators are out in the community doing live programs at libraries or senior centers, kind of like these webinars, but face-to-face. And also information and referrals. Now, it's important that you understand that when I say referrals, the Alzheimer's Association has a very strict non-endorsement policy, meaning we will not tell you to go to one provider over another. Rather, what they'll do is the helpline specialist will give you a list of all of the providers in your area, whether they're neurologists or in-home care providers or residential facilities. And then from that list of all of the providers in your area, you can make the choice what is best for you in your particular instance. Now, some people are more visual learners like me, and they like to get on the online and use their keyboard. You can go to communityresourcefinder.org and do this for yourself. You can also get there at alz.org/CRF. But basically what you'll do is you'll select the type of resource that you're looking for, whether it's education programs or support groups, or you need a referral for a neurologist or an in-home health provider, what have you. And then you'll enter your zip code. Based upon that, you'll be given a list of the providers in your area. Two other very important resources are alznavigator.org, first off, and alzconnected.org. Now, the ALZ Navigator helps you do something which you can also do with a live person at the helpline, but it helps you navigate through the difficult waters of living with Alzheimer's or another dementia. It'll ask you a series of questions, and based upon your answers, it'll give you an action plan of specific steps that you need to be thinking about, some things that you might not have thought about for your current situation, and also anticipating what's coming down the road as you have your journey with Alzheimer's disease. So alznavigator.org is an incredibly great resource to help you plan ahead and be more effective and efficient in dealing with your current issues and challenges. And again, you can also have a care navigator by calling the 800 number, walk you through this process as well. alzconnected.org is kind of like an online support group. It's a fantastic online support community where you can log on anonymously. You're not going to have to give your name or any personal information, but you can discuss with other people on chat boards where you're typing things and read. You can post questions. You can look at questions other people have asked and had answered. And it's a tremendous source of 24/7 available support to help you with specific issues that you're dealing with. And then finally, if you'd like to go and watch video presentations, kind of like this webinar, you can go to alz.org/learn, where those are available 24/7. I'm going to go ahead and go to the helpline and keep that phone number up there for you to look at. We hope that all of you will take out your smartphone and program our 800 number in to your contacts so that you always have it. With regard to questions, Yolanda, we've got a question. What about coconut oil? I've heard that helps with Alzheimer's.
Well, as I said earlier when we talked about those things where sometimes it can be a scam, but that may not be. There are some things that are used to help, but we recommend that you see research on those things And the criteria was research that's been conducted with a large number of people, research that's been replicated, and research that's been published in a peer-reviewed journal, but also ask your physician. Those are things that you want to try to do before you jump into something. It may be helpful, but you just want to make sure.
Great. Well, yeah, and especially something like coconut oil or turmeric or other, you think, oh, well, it's just food. It's not a big deal. There are all sorts of things that can interact with medications that you're taking. So as Yolanda said, it is important that you let your physician know that you want to try something because there may be an interaction. I know that with blood thinners, there's a problem with green leafy vegetables at times, and who to thunk it. So it's always best to let your doctor know ahead of time. Somebody just typed in that a dementia specialist is a great resource.
Yeah.
And to that, I would just add that your general practitioner can diagnose Alzheimer's or another dementia. They can treat it, but having a specialist is always a good idea because they see this more and more, and your brain is pretty complex. It's good to have a specialist. Okay, Yolanda, another question, and we get this all the time. Can you tell us about cannabis, marijuana, and CBD oil?
Well, just like we were talking about the coconut oil, and we know that's the craze, and we've heard all of the great things that happen as a result of using it. However, if you've not seen that published in a reputable peer-reviewed journal, or they've tried this on a large group of people, the research has been published, you've consulted with some professionals, talk with your doctor. I would be hesitant to just up and do that without doing some research first. Just like Mike said earlier, that too could contradict or go against the medications you're presently taking, and that would not be something that you'd want to happen.
Yeah, I referred to another time that Yolanda and I could do a study on the effects of aliens from another planet eating cotton candy. And we could write up this 50-page research paper all about this, and it might not be worth the paper it's printed on. So there's a lot of research out there that might not be good. Yolanda referred to peer-reviewed medical journals, and what that is, for instance, with cancer, that would be something like the Journal of Oncology. It's published, and every issue that's published has different research and articles that are vetted by a board of board-certified oncologists. These are experts, and they can read the articles and look at the research studies and pretty quickly deduce, this isn't really past the rigorous standards that we want in our journal, or, hey, this is legitimate science and this needs to be duplicated. But another thing that Yolanda said is replicated. One study doesn't prove anything because there can be errors. So it takes a while to build up a degree of confidence, and the Alzheimer's Association is not going to tell you that something is legitimate until we're absolutely sure. There is a question, do we have a website to find clinical trials? And yes, the easiest way is to go to, you can go through alz.org, and in the search, type in clinical trials, or the easiest thing to do is just to call our 800 number, because the specialists at the helpline can connect you with Trial Match, which is a service where they'll ask you basically 21 questions and then be able to let you know if there are any clinical trials that match your profile. Now, if you do that, just to let you know, the Alzheimer's Association cannot sign you up for the trial. It's just they say, okay, there's a trial that you match. We're going to send you the information, and you decide if you want to contact the hospital or the researcher so that you can pursue this. But there's no pressure. It's totally up to you. So there is a last question, and I'm not sure if you know about this. Is there a link, Yolanda, between Alzheimer's and hearing loss?
I've read, research says that there is. And so they constantly say, in fact, I just read that, and it was actually on an Alzheimer's site, Mike, that said that the importance of getting your hearing checked, because many times the two things coincide. It may not be dementia. However, there is a link between the two. So make sure you get your hearing checked.
Yes, there seems to be an increasing body of evidence that shows a correlation between hearing loss and dementia. But correlation doesn't necessarily mean causality.
Exactly.
For
Exactly.
instance, you can say 100% of drug users, people who are addicted to drugs, they drank milk when they were children. Well, that has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other, but statistics say that there's 100%. So you've got to be careful with that. But yes, that is something to discuss with your neurologist and an audiologist to look at that. It seems to be, and again, it's not conclusive, but part of it seems to be that the less I hear, the less stimulation I'm getting, the less cognitive stimulation, which Yolanda talked about. It's very important for my brain. So less cognitive stimulation can be associated with a decrease in brain health. But I'm not an audiologist, and I'm certainly not a neurologist.
Nor am I.
That's a good question to follow up. But do you play one on TV?
I don't even play one on TV. No.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. I would like to thank Yolanda Simon for sharing her time and her talent with us.
Thanks,
you, Yolanda.
Mike. It's been awesome.
And thanks all of you for logging in. I hope that you'll share this webinar with family and friends by telling them about alzwebinars.org. And we hope that you'll return to alzwebinars.org and join us for a future webinar. Have a great day.